Obviously, every time there's a shooting, it must be mentally ill, right? That's what you're wanting to sell about us. Look in the DSM-5. I want you to look in there. Alright, so, mentally ill. Your aunt who's got PTSD. She got PTSD from getting beat the hell out of by her ex-husband. Now, if mentally ill people were all going to be school shooters, she would have walked into where your kids are going to school and killed everybody, or at least tried. But she didn't, did she? You got your other aunt, she's got postpartum depression. Now, if mentally ill people were all school shooters, well, she would have sent some mail bombs that she made to, well, who did the Unabomber send them to? Mentally ill, right? Your dad, who lost lost four brothers in the war, whichever war it happens to be that they were lost in. He's depressed because of that. Now, just because he's depressed, does that mean that he's gonna walk into work and shoot everybody? I mean, you guys are putting an awful lot of pressure on us and a lot of fucking fault and a lot of blame, and then you're using that as an excuse to harm us over a label, not a diagnosis. You use that word mentally ill only as a crutch and an excuse to harm others. It serves no other purpose. It serves no other purpose than to discredit the victims. There is no other purpose for it. It is used as an insult. It's used in court. Both of those are meant specifically to discredit the victim. Those terms are used by boyfriends and husbands who beat their wives and rape their children. Are you fucking crazy? Yes, you are. And you pretend I'm the one who's nuts. Now, this thing is probably going to die on me shortly because it's not charging up well. There's a lot of stuff that's verifiable on my Facebook. There's a lot of stuff that's verifiable on my YouTube. But of course, y'all don't want to see it. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to listen to it. You don't want to read it. You want to listen to one of these popular shows and believe everything you're fucking told, and that's just fucking stupid. Go back, listen to the evidence. Yeah, I worked hard at getting all of the evidence I need to verify these situations, to verify from the actual witnesses themselves, record those conversations, post them on YouTube. Those things they claimed they were going to come forward about, those things they claimed, but they just simply never did. Now, why didn't they? I don't have any evidence that Mandy Hughes or Alyssa Rainwater are alcoholics. I didn't stay with them, and I'm also not going to accuse them of being alcoholics. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. Shannon Alvarado, yes. Dallas Richmond, yes. Harley Richmond, yes. And then there's, of course, the drug dealers that verify their drug dealers on my channel, like George Helmstetter. And, of course, Kayla Peaches Trujillo. And quite a few more. Now, I was able to get a hold of Tabby and also Jay. Jay is Leatha Plunkett's ex, and he's also the father of her son, Gabriel. And the video that he's got, if you listen to it, you would be afraid for Leatha Plunkett's life. But not from me, from him. And you listen to his reasons for it, and I'm not going to argue the point with him. I know he's not going to actually attempt it. I know that now that his son Gabriel is over the age of 18, Gabriel has a little bit more rights to his father, unless his father is locked up. We don't know where his father is currently. Because of the YouTube video that I posted up, it's an actual conversation with him. He might be dead. I don't know. He also might be in prison, I heard. But then again, where he might be in prison is not somewhere that he would go. So that needs to be taken into account as well. I got to verify with Rebecca Gross Nickel Foley that many of these people who you wanted to pretend did not exist, she knows them personally, and the issues that I got with them, she has with them as well. Pretty easy to verify. Now, Rebecca Gross Nickel Foley, she has been threatening, she even threatened to skin people's kids and shit. Like, this is, you guys think what I did was bad, threatening the people who were threatening me back? The only person that I threatened that didn't threaten me first was Donald Trump, and I didn't want to threaten him. That was a last-ditch attempt to force the FBI to do their fucking jobs. It's verified. I mean, you can go through and you can look at the situation where I was arrested. I was arrested a long, long time ago in that hotel room that Megan Missigatis helped me to get. Now, of course, having it on YouTube is only part of it. These people needed to actually assess the things that they knew they needed to come forward with. We got plenty of evidence now all over my YouTube that these people were aware that I did tell the truth, these situations did happen, and that they did treat me the way that they treated me. I told you. There are people who verify these things every step of the way, and most of these people have mental illnesses, including drug addictions. If mental illness is going to make you be the next Unabomber, or be the next school shooter, or be the next person to walk into a Baptist church and just start blasting, you know, there's a theory about that, about the hatred that people have towards the clergy, towards, well, the people who abused them growing up. Men especially are prone to this. Men especially, and they've made movies about this, and boys who have been molested, you know, they watch some of these movies, and they idolize the people in these movies. Like that one with Kevin Bacon, where Robert De Niro is playing the priest, and the priest lies and helps the victims of Kevin Bacon, because he was a guard at a juvenile facility who raped these 4 boys that were altar boys that accidentally killed a man. And, you know, these people rape these children repeatedly. Well, when these children were adults, they ran into the Kevin Bacon character and they killed him, and some other people too. Now, that priest lied and helped them to get away with that crime. But there's a lot of boys who were not allowed to speak up about what happened to us. We're not allowed. Now, my outlet is to fucking speak out. I mean, most of these boys, the reason they don't speak out is because they know they'll be ostracized. They're demasculated. They're not men anymore. They're not men anymore. Our society pushes it on them that they can't be men anymore because somebody touched them bad. They get embarrassed. They don't want the whole world to know. But then they watch those movies and they hold that secret. If I ever see that man again, if I ever see him again. And sure, they say that in their head, and luckily they never see that man again, because what's going to happen? Well, they might go, all right, I'm going to hatch a plot. I'm going to go into where he works, or I'm going to go into the church where he is probably still molesting kids. But then they walk into the church and it's a different scenario than they thought it was going to be. You're going into a church full congregation, everybody's there. You thought it was a good idea and you were going to give a speech, but now everybody's trying to fucking flee for the exits, and you're going, fuck it, he's in there somewhere. Blam, 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 blam. Well, sure, that's one theory. There's a lot of theories about it, but that doesn't mean that every single person who's been raped or has postpartum depression or who lost their kids in a fire, or that doesn't mean that every single one of those people who has a mental illness, according to the DSM-5, is going to go and be a school shooter. If that were true, Robert Franklin Warnick, he's a pedophile. He's a registered pedophile. Felony sexual assault against a child. If every mentally ill person, and pedophilia fits, it's in there. If every single mentally ill person was going to be a school shooter, Robert Franklin Warnick, the registered sex offender in Chapel, Nebraska, would have already killed everybody at the grade school, would have already killed everybody at one of the churches, or would have walked into the court. No, that's right, we covered that, didn't we? You have to be extremely ballsy to go do these things in court, or at court, especially with armed guards and police officers being there, and the metal detectors and the searches, and yeah, well, you're not going to get away with shooting as many people there. But outside of the courthouse, that's a different story, isn't it? Why is it the U.S. Marshals take all of these pedophiles and these child rapists and these mass murderers and they transport them with a bulletproof vest? Well, that's because, 1980s, there were men who were walking through airports and blowing the brains out of people on national television that the U.S. Marshal Service is supposed to keep safe for trial. Of course, the guy that he shot in the head raped his son. And I'm not sure if this is right or not. I think that's the one who, his son tried to tell, and they harmed him a lot, and this guy's son ended up committing suicide. But that might have been the other guy, the one who was shot like 6 times in the chest coming out of the courthouse. So yeah, my predators, there's a reason that they play victim. There's a reason that they pretend like I would hurt them, especially after the crimes that they committed. They want to keep it out of court. And also, at that point, seeing how many people have retaliated for folks doing shit like that, well, how do they know that I'm not some other crazy who might actually do that? Well, that's the evidence. It shows that they are playing, that they are pretending, that they're going out of their way to keep evidence against them from being shown in court, from being turned in. I mean, Nebraska State Patrol repeatedly telling me I have to turn in Scott DaCosta. Are you kidding me? And meanwhile, those calls are all verifiable on fucking Facebook and YouTube. They're recorded with the actual people. If all mentally ill were school shooters, Natalie Bollinger would be a school shooter. Ted Bollinger would be a school shooter. Danica Garner would be a school shooter. Laura Nelson would be a school shooter. Her son would be a school shooter. Her husband would be a school shooter. How many of us are actually school shooters? If mentally ill makes you a school shooter, your aunt who just found out, or your cousin who just found out that in her state, she has to carry her daddy's baby full term, yeah, she's gonna fucking flip her shit. She is going to flip her shit. If she'd have gotten an abortion last week, she wouldn't have to carry her dad's baby to full term. She could keep that secret. Well, now she's got to carry that baby to full term. And if there ever is a DNA test or a genetic issue, they're going to test that child. They're going to know that he's a product of incest. They're going to test to see if there's any issues because of incest. And now this girl has to carry that child to full term. And she, understandably, is possibly going to be depressed about that. Absolutely. Is that something that is understandable to any of you? Now, does that mean that she's going to go into the fucking VA and kill 30 fucking veterans? No, it doesn't. If being mentally ill meant that you were going to be a rapist or a murderer. I want you to look at this from a very serious point of view. Shannon Alvarado would be a mass murderer. Rick McCormick would for surely be a mass murderer. Brett Roloff would be a mass murderer. And you can hear their mental illnesses in this. Their mental illnesses. No, individually, they all have something different. Some of them have PTSD. Some of them have ADHD. Some of them have both. Some of them have neither. Some of them are just clinically depressed. Some of them are environmentally depressed. They're in an environment where they have to be subservient, and where they're being subservient, it's a very dangerous situation. Mandy Singer speaks about being in those situations multiple times. Me being there at her place did put her at risk of losing her place. It put her at risk of not being able to take care of her family and be there for them. You guys want to peg every homeless person as mentally ill. We don't have the guns to go fucking blast people like you think we do. We're not the ones going around and raping all these people. Most of the time it's their dad. Statistically, 80% of the time it's one or the other parent. And we're coming to find that that ratio is actually much larger, because before nobody would ever believe that a woman would sexually abuse her child. Now we're coming to find out that there are women who are sexually abusing many children. We also come to find out that, well, in one profession alone, women with mental illnesses have killed more people, including more children, than all school shooters combined. What profession is this? If you guys guessed nursing, you're correct. Nurses in this country have killed more people. More mass murderers are nurses, or more people have been killed by mass murdering nurses in this country than any other profession, and also more than all other male mass murderers combined. I mean, we're talking about one of these ladies, almost 600 people. Another one of these ladies, she was convicted of like 30 or 35, and it could be up to 400. This is not the first time in history. We want to have this Me Too movement fucking selling us bullshit like women would never do this shit. Are you kidding me? Look at Elizabeth Bathory. Go back through history. Elizabeth Bathory was a nasty, nasty woman. There are a lot of those throughout history. It's sexist to pretend that a vagina makes you sugar and spice and everything nice. That's a nursery rhyme, people. Don't throw that shit at me. I'm not stupid. I live in the real fucking world. I live in the real world where Dean, he's actually, his vehicle's over on that side, not the side. Dean, obviously, is not a fucking school shooter. He's not sending out mail bombs. If every single person in the United States who has something in the DSM-5 that is considered a mental illness was a school shooter, nearly everybody in America would be a school shooter. Also, if pharmaceuticals make you be a school shooter, what percentage of the population is on pharmaceuticals? Are you going to treat all people who take pharmaceutical medications as if they're going to be a school shooter? As if they're going to be the next Unabomber? As if they're going to be the next Jack the Ripper or the next Jeffrey Dahmer? Are you fucking insane? Use your fucking brain. Nice looking car. Yeah, not every mentally ill person is going to be a school shooter. Yeah, Zach Boatman. He's a fucking pussycat. He's really a teddy bear. He's got schizophrenia. Actual schizophrenia. Audio and visual hallucinations. He thinks he's Satan himself. He tells people he's Lucifer. And he still ain't a school shooter. There's a friend of mine and my older brother's. My older brother Eric remembers Jeremiah. Hold on, what's his last name? Isn't that horrible? Too many names and I can't remember them all. Jeremy Elliott. Jimmy Elliott went out picking some mushrooms with my older brother. And Eric decided that he was going to sell his mushrooms, and Jeremy decided that he was going to eat his mushrooms, and Jeremy went on a trip that he never came back from. He is perma-fried. He's still one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He was abused a shit ton by his alcoholic mother, and I've helped his mother out several times since she had him locked up because she couldn't take care of him because she was an alcoholic. He took care of her, though. And now she's in a fucking horrible way because, like, she basically kicked him out of his own apartment, low-income apartment, and took it over herself. Was able to do all sorts of special shit to rip her own son off for those things. After she had been victimizing him, living with him for, like, over a year. And Brenda Dickinson was aware of it, and she never said a goddamn thing to the cops. She just bitched at me about it. I explained to her, the cops don't fucking listen to me. That's something you need to turn in, Brenda. And if you didn't, that's fucked up. If you didn't, that's nobody's fault but your own. If you didn't, you know what? I'm not going to take the blame for that. At least I tried. But of course, with me, the mentally ill tag, people just blow me off. They're allowed to. They don't have to do their jobs. They can pretend like I might. Pretend like I might kill their dog. Pretend like I might hurt their children. Where's the threats against your children? Where's the threats against your dog? Where's the threats against anybody's children or anybody's dogs? Well, I actually have evidence of both from Rebecca Gross Nickel Folly. I also got evidence of the courts outright lying and manipulating shit. Not cool. Also not legal. But who cares about legal when you call somebody mentally ill and nobody has to do their job? They say, oh, well, you got to get a subpoena. No. You were supposed to help me with that shit, lady. You were supposed to help me to stop these predators. That's specifically what I was sent to you for. You are supposed to help me with those court documents. You are supposed to assist me with those things. Now, when did she? She didn't. Jen Beebe never did. Megan Misigatis had to do that. She finally did. Finally. It took for fucking ever. People want to pretend like I'm going to be the Unabomber. They want to pretend like I'm going to be a serial killer, or a serial rapist, or some other crazy shit. And that's pretty much everybody's hallmark, everybody's go-to. They all know that if somebody is mentally ill, they can play that game, that word game, to imply that the person is not sane enough to know up from down, left from right, or their own fucking name. But I do know my name. It's Sean David Schwartz. I'm the son of Brian David Schwartz and Angela K. Bruns, a.k.a. Angela K. Wade now, because she is married to Michael Scott Wade. Prior to that, she was married to Larry Albert. So at that point in time, it would have been Angela K. Albert. Prior to that, she was married to Kenneth Hicks, my little sister's dad. And of course, that would have been Angela K. Hicks at the time. I was born October 18th of 1980 in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, on the 5th floor of the hospital. At the time, it was the maternity ward. Currently, it is now the mental hospital in Scottsbluff. Ask me how I know. You don't turn in cops. That's how I know. Anyway, you get to see if you applied your assumptions of me towards these people who were actually threatening my life. actually threatening my sister, actually threatening my niece, actually threatening to kill people, actually following people who are trying to help me. But God bless America and all that, right? Now, with what Tara was saying and with other people having their own opinions and things that they were telling my sister, absolutely, I'm going to speak their piece and what they personally felt and thought about the situation. With my little sister, she does have evidence of vandalism. When she says that people are messing with her, she's trying to look at her cameras to see if anybody's going to come over and mess with her, and they're not going to now. They all know those cameras are there. They've known those cameras are there for a very long time. If they're going to try to catch her, they're going to try to catch her somewhere where she doesn't have access to a body camera, where she doesn't have access to the cameras that are strapped to her stuff. So I got two different cameras here. This one right here, this one is a rear view mirror. You can see that part where it's kind of a tannish color. That right there is the heads-up display. It actually shows what the camera is recording. This thing is currently full because I was messing with it trying to learn how to get it to work. I'm not an electronic gizmo guy. Does that mean that I'm going to go kill a bunch of people because I'm frustrated because I don't know how to use the damn thing? No, it doesn't. When I'm screaming for help, when I'm angry, that doesn't mean that I'm going to fucking kill people. I'm angry because I said these things nicely to begin with. I tried to show people what was going on. I approached them nicely. I helped them out. I ended up getting assaulted on multiple occasions before Natalie was killed by people who were supposedly my friends, but not if they're going to do that, especially like with Derek Parrish assaulting me over an argument that I had nothing to do with. That was him and his girlfriend. It should have stayed between him and his girlfriend. Ooh. By luck and chance, I pulled out the Bronco colors. Y'all want to hear a song I remember from being a kid? This is Colorado, so many sights to see. It's a land that's filled with promise. It's a place I want to be. Yeah, that was one of the news stations. You guys got a real fucking sickness in you. You do realize that you more than likely have something about you that can be called mental illness. And if they are allowed to use the term mentally ill across the board as a blanket for schizophrenia and delusions, it doesn't matter that you have PTSD from being raped. Your rapist gets to call you mentally ill now because you have PTSD. And now you are not credible as a human being anymore. Not just as a witness in court. You're not credible as a human being. They're going to railroad you in court. And then, of course, they're going to tell everybody else about railroading you. They're not going to brag about it being a railroading. They're going to pretend it was all legit. God damn, you guys are stupid. And the homeless are especially prone to being victimized like this. We take the blame for everything. We've already had 2 fires up in the canyons, Boulder County, Colorado, that have been blamed on homeless people very loudly and publicly all over the news, and then come to find out later that it was, well, either a off-duty fireman or what was the other one? Actually, it was another off-duty fireman. Isn't that strange? I wonder if it's the same off-duty fireman. I forgot to check that. Then you got the John Benet Ramsey situation. Of course, they tried blaming that on homeless people, didn't they? And then, of course, there's the Avalanche riots. Oh my God, right? You have any idea how many times people posted up the things that white people riot about? The Avalanche winning a fucking hockey game. Yes, I follow hockey a little bit just because people won't shut up about it. Yes, I know the Stanley Cup is hockey. When I say wake me up when the Broncos win the Stanley Cup, I know that the Broncos play football. What I'm doing is showing the point that I really don't give a fuck about that. I got real problems. There's a video called For Peaches the Liar, and that video itself is just me screaming at Peaches. But there's 116 comments, actually I think there's more than that now, in the comment section of that video. Every single one of those is a conversation with a different witness about the situation and scenario that shows I've been telling the truth. Jace, Chapel Witness, Jace, Chapel Witness. That one right there shows I've been telling the truth. If you look at the situation with the video, the missing women of Hardin, Montana, or missing Selena Not Afraid, or Alicia Bollinger is missing. Oh God, I am fucking pissed at Alicia to this day, and I have every right to be. But I still love her, and I don't want her to fucking die. I don't want anybody to fucking rape her to death. I don't want anybody to beat her to death. I don't want fucking her to be found at fucking 4:30 in the morning by a fucking dump truck driver with a heroin needle still sticking out of her arm, her fucking eyes, pupils fucking ghost white, body half fucking hanging out of a goddamn dumpster. You think that I want that shit to happen? But then again, look at the world she's in. Look at the fucking world she's in. Look at the predators in her own life. If every person who is mentally ill was a school shooter, Alicia Michelle Bollinger would have killed a lot of people. A lot of people. If being mentally ill meant you were a school shooter, my mom would have slaughtered everybody in the Chapel Assembly of God. That's a church, obviously. If being mentally ill made you a school shooter, y'all remember a show from the 90s called My So-Called Life? Yeah, every single person in that show, from Claire Danes' character to Ricky, of course. Some people might say, oh, well, Ricky wasn't mentally ill, he was just gay. Gay doesn't make him mentally ill, obviously. But the bullying that he had to go through, that drove him to the point that he attempted suicide on that show more than once. I mean, that was one of the big things again. Someone calls themselves a Special J33, typed, hey bro, you are live again. Yes, I'm live again. I'm sorry that several of my videos have died in the middle of them. It's difficult to keep this thing charged. Anyway, you guys get to see how repeatedly, instead of giving me a drug test, the cops said I was on drugs, so the hospitals wrote down drugs. What drugs? Why didn't you take a drug test? This don't make no fucking sense. You get to see repeatedly where when I was trying to turn in officers, these officers literally that I was trying to turn in got to be there when I had to talk to, like, for instance, Jared Hahn with talking to Tara Smith. Jared Hahn, when I tried to talk to the Nebraska State Patrol officer, Bill Burr. Yeah, Jared Hahn got to be there for that too. Not okay. Jared Hahn was the one that was sent out on multiple occasions for situations that were not okay for him to be a part of anymore. I had already repeatedly tried to turn him in. Nobody would take it seriously. None of these so-called professionals would do their job unless someone else was there. And with Dual County Sheriff's Department repeatedly sending Jared Hahn out to be fucking intimidating, to assist predators I was trying to turn in with getting away with their crimes, with getting fucking snarky with me and being a fucking butthurt little bitch about everything, like that fucking scallywag ass cunt whore, wholeheartedly wanted to get what? I'm highly offended, because I said deputy instead of officer. My God, acting like a fucking child these cops are. When you try to turn in a bad cop and they start acting like fucking children, one of them's laughing, one of them's highly offended, and the other one says, well, I don't know you, I never met you. Jesus fucking Christ. The three goddamn stooges. This is who I fucking get for law enforcement in Hood River. Yeah. And all, of course, the mentally ill tag. It makes it okay for them to ignore me. It also makes it okay for them to blame me. Homelessness increases that so much because all of you guys just assume every homeless person is mentally ill and a drug addict. There's a reason that they played on that. Meanwhile, you get to hear from people who literally admit to being drug dealers on my YouTube channel, admitting that I don't do drugs, admitting that I've never sold drugs. Actual drug dealers, in their own words, admitting to this shit. But of course, after the felonies committed by those officers and the felonies committed by the fucking Bollingers and their fucking cronies and that gaslighting goddamn bullshit, fuck yes, everyone can be pissed off that their voices are recorded on my YouTube channel. Everybody can be as pissed off as they want that our screenshots, our messages between each other are all over fucking Facebook. They can be as pissed off as they fucking want. They should have come forward. Instead of talking to me with their mentally ill asses as if they're going to be the next fucking school shooter. Do you not understand how that fucking freaks me out? Sarah Bacon, listening to her talking about shooting people and beating people up, not fucking cool. That gives a bad fucking rep for everybody with the quote-unquote mentally ill tag. Meanwhile, what's her mental illness? Alcoholism. What is most of these people's mental illness? Alcoholism. Yeah, sure, thanks for fucking helping. I'm a horrible person for telling your personal business. No, I'm not. It's not your personal business. You're a horrible fucking piece of shit who can't remember past 30 seconds because you're fucking drunk. You're a horrible piece of shit fucking drunk. But of course, you're allowed to be a piece of shit to me because it's your roof over your head. It's your roof you're allowing me under. And I am grateful for that. And I have spoken up over and over about all of those situations where people put roofs over my head. Yes, I was grateful for that. But that's not what I was fucking there for. That wasn't the agreement. That wasn't the word made. A lot of these people wanted to be pissed off that they were recorded and put up on YouTube and put up on Facebook. Well, if the shit that you fucking told me is true, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, at this point, we should probably try to see both of the folks that I am absolutely certain are legally required if there is an illegal firearm that could potentially be used to harm other individuals. Well, Marcia Estrada, for surely, and Megan Mescatus, for surely, especially knowing that the other one is in that text string as well, I am sure that both of them, by now, have made that effort. If they haven't, well, the fact that it's fucking saved, the fact that it's recorded, is going to bite them in the ass. Now, you want to pretend that that's a threat against them? No, that is a statement of fact. Obviously not literally bite them on their backside, but yeah, there are prison sentences associated with this shit. Prison sentences. Dual County gets to prey on the fact that, of course, the mentally ill tag, but also on the fact that the advocates like Jen Beebe didn't do their job. Advocates like, of course, Megan Misigatis didn't do their jobs. Advocates like Penny Cooper didn't do their jobs. Advocates like Jen Beebe, really, seriously, even with Marcia Estrada admitting all that shit, she was not impressed with Tamara, her own words. I said, well, Tamara did a better job than Jen Beebe, my own words. And absolutely, Marcia Estrada, 100%, you get to listen to that. She got behind that statement for sure. Hell, a fucking nasty toilet seat would have done a better job at doing that job than Jen Beebe. There's a lot of things that happened that I was called crazy for saying. A lot of things that people wanted to victimize me, not just on the streets. It's not just in these fucking YouTube channels. In courts, people were saying this shit. Shannon Alvarado needs to come forward. They're not going to listen to me because of the mentally ill tag. She was aware of the situation. While I was there, she was my caregiver. I am developmentally disabled. That means anyone who has me in their custody is my caregiver. That means any of them who abuse me or refuse to assist me in turning in predators are committing felonies. It is felonies at this point. It's not against the law to make a mistake. It is against the law to cover up that mistake. Especially when you put it on court documents. Here's the thing, is that those court dates where they wanted to pretend like I was schizophrenic and delusional for the things that I said. Meanwhile, I didn't get to say those things in court, did I? No, I had to say those things to other people that were supposed to help me to get it into court. And they didn't. They need subpoenaed. Why the fuck do they get protected like that? My mandated reporters who didn't do their fucking jobs get protected like that. How do I get protected? Assaulted like a motherfucker. Arrested on false charges. Have people fucking follow my sister and my niece and do all sorts of God knows what fucking creepy shit besides. Not everybody who is called mentally ill is a fucking killer. Not everybody who is called mentally ill has, well, harm against you on their mind. Most of these people who did predatory shit towards me, they didn't want to. They didn't do it intentionally. They did it because they're fucking alcoholics. At the same time, they're still legally responsible. Megan Misigatis, she does not get any of the benefit of the doubt that many of these people got because, well, the evidence that I have since I've been in contact with her, other than the busted phone that was broken by Robert Franklin Warnick, it's all still intact. Well, so far as I know. I mean, I haven't actually gone through and read every single message between me and Misigatis on all of these devices. Obviously, there's a lot of shit to do, and obviously, most of the time, I can barely function. Right now, I've been on my phone for, 2 days straight, 3 days straight, because I'm fucking petrified. There's a video called My Sister Was Just Threatened. That one's pretty important. There's also the evidence that was sent to Marcia Estrada that shows the situation where my sister came to help me with that stuff, but she brought Ed. Yeah, there's a 9.5 hours worth of audio recording on that. And it shows all the behind the scenes, and it was scary. It was scary for me. It was scary for Tara. Ed was a fucking idiot and wanted to get all fucking threatening and become an asshole, and Boy, is he lucky I didn't beat him piss limber. They'd have to clean him off the floor with a sponge and a bucket. Is that true? Well, I don't fucking know. I don't know how lucky he would have gotten, but what I do know is that I'm not somebody who's going to go getting fucking violent. You got to put your nasty fucking cock beaters on me and physically harm me for me to defend myself, and you have to hurt me a lot. You guys don't get that. I can take a lot of pain. You have to hurt me a lot to get me to react to pain. A lot. The other thing that's verified is that the things that these cops want to claim that obviously they have zero evidence of, the only reason that they're getting away with it is because there was nobody there with me, and they took away my ability to record it over and over and over and over, including Scott DaCosta, over and over and over on my YouTube and on my paperwork. You can go back through the evidence. You can see it. It is on the fucking internet. Nearly everything said about me in the Natalie Bollinger situation can either be proved to be either A, something that happened, but not as she fucking tried to play it off, like me walking down Federal to go see Miss Peaches from Ken and Leah's house. Obviously, I'm going to Miss Peaches because Natalie Bollinger wanted to meet me. According to her own messages to me, I show up there. I walk that whole way, and she pretends like it means I'm stalking her by her house. No, I had to get to Peaches somehow so I could get a ride to Boulder. Miss Peaches verified that I'd gone to her multiple occasions prior to that. She verified that the situation with Joshua Hebert, yeah, Josh was a fucking dick. But she didn't want to admit that she was a dick too, did she? Meanwhile, none of these people are serial killers. Shit, Mobley, aka Stephen McMillian, he was an emergency medical technician. He was also delusional as all fuck. I mean, his Christian delusions, those were probably the scariest part about that man for me. Kind of like with Christine Buhit, the scariest thing with her for me was whenever she started playing Christian. That meant someone was getting fucking played. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. It's 48 minutes long. I'm going to, well, I don't know if it'll be bright enough to see. You know, I'm getting pretty low on gas as well. I do have a couple of external devices that are plugged in and getting charged. And I got to plug this one in too. Now, one of the great things about the conversations with witnesses on my channel versus people like Detective Peterson and Detective Rogers saying the things that they said is, number one, the evidence doesn't fit what they said. Number two, these people's conversations don't fit what they said. What Alyssa Rainwater said after talking to Amanda Jonas, one of the officers I was trying to turn in, I had to turn her into herself. How crazy is that? That's who they assigned to investigate it. And what did she do? She coordinated with all of these other agencies so that, well, I never got to make that report against her, did I? By her own admission. You get to see in this paperwork the actual sleight of hand at play. It's one of the things of Marcia Estrada. I'm trying to explain to her, Marcia, here's the thing. Not only am I able to prove it, I can prove a lot of it. I can prove this nationwide. There's a lot of it. You need to look at it. You listen to my little sister and how much is there and how long she thinks it'd take to go through it. You listen to Megan Missigatis and how long she thinks it'll take to go through it. Yeah, most of these people will never come forward because the truth about them is now out there. I get that. At the same time, when they made it that situation, and that's what it is going to take to keep my loved ones safe, then that's what I'm going to do. If you're going to play like you can't come forward and tell the truth because you're afraid for your family, well, fuck you. They started threatening my family first, bitch. They started threatening to kill me in 2016, started threatening to kill my family at the end of 2016 or the beginning of 2017. So, I mean, this is not like you get to fucking dip out and I'm being selfish because I'm not thinking about your kids. The fuck I ain't. You know what happens if you don't come forward and they decide that they want to fucking kill you? They come and they kill you and your words aren't out there and then they don't know who to fucking go after. They don't know who fucking killed you because you never spoke up. When you say, I'm afraid of Ted and I'm afraid of Troy and I'm afraid of whoever else you're fucking afraid of, you need to fucking speak out about that because otherwise, if they fucking kill you, that motherfucker gets away with it. Natalie Marie Bollinger knew I wasn't gonna fucking kill her. She knew I wasn't gonna fucking hurt her. She knew my rules. She knew if you're not 18, you're 12 and you need to get away from me. She knew I believe in telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Natalie and I had a plan. Both of us. She wasn't supposed to die, I was. And no, that wasn't like planned out. It was the fact that, you know, with the things that I was going through, especially with my fucked up back and the way that homeless people are treated and how we're all treated like we're junkies. She said she'd speak out if I ever killed myself. Well, she was never going to let them hear the end of it. You know, Joanna Taylor Smith, she typed the same thing at me later on about Natalie and Alicia and Maddie Boa, of course. That if I had killed myself over what they were doing to me, she'd never let them hear the end of it. Of course, I tried to destroy my Facebook after that. I didn't want anybody to harm Natalie and Alicia Bollinger and Maddie Boa if I killed myself. I didn't want Joanna Taylor Smith to do, well, literally the things that Natalie and her friends did to me after her death. Yes, I do include Natalie in that. She set it up like a motherfucker to make her family happy, to hide her own sins, to not go to prison like her family was trying to push for. And her grandma Denise verified that. Of course, whenever they wanted to pretend like I was a monster and have court without me and get protection orders, and of course I'm incarcerated, I can't go. I can't defend myself, they automatically win. And then, after that, more people from the family get on and start fucking harassing me. Like, really? You're gonna fucking tell me I can't talk about that family or to that family, and then they're gonna get on my fucking YouTube again? They're gonna get on my Facebook again to fucking harass me, Denise Kelly? No, fuck all of you. The situation where people wanted to pretend like I was making missing persons posts about Natalie Marie Bollinger before she was even killed, before she even disappeared. No. Mandy Hughes got on there. She admitted that that was about her fucking son. There's also another one about Shauna Sinclair's daughter, but Shauna Sinclair, between coming forward and playing victim, she tried to get my friend Morgan Burns to threaten harm against me. I'm like, that shit ain't happening. When Morgan Burns decided he was gonna fucking be a dick to me over it, you goddamn right, we stopped being friends over that. But I fucking shot him straight. And I don't mean like literally with a gun. Obviously, I gotta make sure every time I say something to state specifically that I'm using a figure of speech. I am specifically going out of my way to explain, no, I am not trying to harm anyone or insinuate that I'm going to. When you guys say that I should go kill these people, and I'm specifically talking about Leslie Snell, when you start saying these things about killing people, yeah, I'm explaining to you at that moment, no, this is not fucking okay. When I'm telling you about people like Robert Franklin Warnick assaulting me, and you're telling me that you got a fucking shotgun, well, that obviously you are more mentally ill fucking school shooter material than me. Obviously, with Danica Garner wanting to fucking threaten me, even after that fucking court shit, she got to win because I was prevented from going. I was illegally prevented from going. My court paperwork even shows that they were notified that I was not able to fucking go. But that judge still, even with that, made the claim that I had never tried. Meanwhile, the videos in that fucking jail show that I did fill out the fucking paperwork that was fucking handed to me, and that I had to go to two officers, McRae and Thorne, that I had tried to turn in before. And what had they done? Put me on fucking suicide watch and make fun of me the whole fucking time. Put me in the fucking hole and make fun of me the whole fucking time. Officers stopping by periodically. They try to put you in sensory deprivation. They cover up the windows so you can't see anything. You can't talk to anybody. You can't turn them in. You can't turn them in. But yeah, sure. Every person with any form of mental illness is probably going to be the next fucking school shooter. Because statistically, according to the DSM-5, much like one of Jesus' sermons, let me tell you about that. That got me in trouble too. All these people, when I'm trying to turn in my predators, want to give it to God, give it to God, give it to God. Your higher power, your higher power. I'm like, really? That's how, quote unquote, mentally ill people are treated. They get a tiny taste of what I go through. They flip their shit and forget about their fucking God immediately, don't they? Yes, that is right, William Barr. You fucking stupid shit. And then, of course, in the process of that, he admitted, yes, he used to be a former Denver deputy. Yes, he's no longer a Denver deputy. Yes, he claimed to do internet investigations. Yes, for the Denver Police Department. Absolutely, I fucking told you. And you treated me like I was schizophrenic for fucking saying it. You called me mentally ill for saying it. You pretended that I was delusional for saying it. Shit, now I got evidence of it on paper with a fucking case number that they literally had to drop from lack of fucking evidence. But yeah, of course, every person who is called mentally ill is out to shoot you and your fucking kids, because Hollyweird and the fucking chimos of the U.S. government tell you so. Important announcement. Dumbasses. Yeah, guess what? Homeless people didn't kill JonBenet either. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. And remember, you are your brother's keeper.